April 4th already. Wow. I will be your host for the evening. My name is Cash Donda, the Sherpa of Super Team. And folks, we have just an incredible call for you, but we're going to start off the same way we always start off, with a little intro music.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Solana ecosystem call. Tonight, Tristan, Richard Wu, Parcl, Hero, with your host, Cash Donda.
Oh, thank you, folks, please. I don't need all the applause. You can take your seats. Please leave the cheers down. Leave the cheers down. No sound. Very SNL. I like it. Can I get confirmation that the sound is working in the chat? That is indeed Chase Barker's voice that we stole from him. Shout out to Streamflow, Alicia in the chat. Folks, if you are watching over on Twitter or YouTube, come on over to the Zoom, zoom.superteam.fun, and you can participate in the secret sauce for this call, which is, in fact, the chat over here. If you're in the chat, make sure that it is set to everyone so that people can see what you are saying. In case you're new around here, this is how the agenda is normally structured. We're going to go through some wins of the month, talk about the state of Solana with some exciting announcements, some world premiere ideas here. Then we're going to go through a few different guests, including Backpack, Parcl, do a breakpoint ticket giveaway, Tensor, Hero, and then a whole lot more. Just so you know, this is a call all about the people and the builders that make up the Solana ecosystem. We're not going to be talking about token price, folks, but we are going to be talking about network upgrades, projects doing well, and all sorts of other things that show the kind of strength and the spirit of the Solana community. So it is going to be a little fun. Drop a little GM in the chat to get it warmed up if you are still with me and looking forward to what we have today. Okay. Before I go any further, quick shout out to the 30 plus IRL watch parties. I know we had Bangkok, we just showed Dubai and Germany, Berlin is here. Who else did we just show? Nigeria is here, India is here. There's a bunch of them all over the world happening. If you want to be watching this with people in the real world, head on over to superteam.fun and you can find all the ecosystemcall.com. You can find all the meetups or even apply to host one yourself. So big shout out to all the hosts. The Balkans I see here in the building. I know they have a meetup going on right now as well. We have one in Riyadh, we have one in Rome, we have one in Karachi, in Budapest, Ho Chi Minh, just all over the world, folks. The Solana community is strong. I think last month there was 2,800 people that came out to a live watch party for this call, which is incredible. That's like a pretty large theater being filled up with people just celebrating Solana, which is what we like to see. Speaking of things that we like to see, let's get into the meat here of the agenda. We're going to start off with the wins of the month. The wins of the month here, we're going to break this up into some different sections. And the first section I wanted to show off is doing numbers. Because folks, the Solana ecosystem was doing some numbers this past month, I gotta say. Win number one, stablecoin transfers have 20x'd in the last 6 months. You heard that correctly, 20x'd in 6 months. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Payments in crypto already have product market fit, and Solana is the best chain for payments, folks. Stablecoins are rocketing $850 billion of volume on just Solana alone in just March alone. That deserves a little W in the chat, if you ask me. Win number two, Solana has recorded more fees in March than we did in the entire year of 2023. Right? Turns out a lot of people want to use the network, even when it's low cost. The fee absolute amounts are quite low, but there are so many transactions. There's so much demand for the network right now that these fees are skyrocketing upwards. They said it couldn't be done. They said there would never be enough demand. They said the fees were set too low. How would validators be sustainable? Well, folks, this is exactly how. Obviously, right now, the network is a little congested because there's almost too much traffic going on, so people are overpaying for priority fees. But this is really pretty incredible. Shout out to Mert's chiropractor for keeping him relaxed, because that's the only way that this happens. I see some people saying some meme coin names in the chat as well. Win number three, and this one is close to my heart, because I've known these boys for the last, 2 years plus. Cubic's public goods funding round hit $100,000 in community contributions. This is what I think the community is all about, helping support other builders, other people who are building things for the benefit of everybody. They had $55,000 in matching fees, and nearly 9,000 people contributed, which I think is pretty fair, or 9,000 contributions. So if you did, a little W for you. Can I get a little W in the chat if you actually contributed over on Cubic? That's good. All right, a bunch of people did. I certainly did, and you should too. Keep an eye over there for next time. Irfan, Dhruv, and everyone else who donated, helping push the ecosystem forward. Love to see it. Win number 4, in terms of doing numbers, there's a little project called Drip. tiny little project. They are now doing 10 million mints every week, folks, for collectibles ranging from art to videos to music and a whole lot more. In my opinion, they are the single best way to onboard your friends and family to Solana. It's being on-chain without necessarily feeling like you're on-chain, and it's an addicting experience, incredibly well designed here. Shout out to Vibu and the rest of the gang, just doing big things here. This is what real traction looks like. I think they passed 100,000 daily active users as well. It is the largest non-financed app on Solana, and I think that's worth celebrating. Speaking of users, there used to be this joke of like, oh, there's no users for crypto, right? There's like, Uniswap has 14 people using it. That is not the case on Solana, because this is the people's chain, and people like to use real consumer applications that are ready for the mainstream right now. And DPIN is bringing those users in a big way. So just in the last month, these are just 3 kind of quick examples to show. IONET, previous ecosystem call guest, crossed 340,000 total GPUs on their network, people contributing their GPUs for kind of cloud rendering for whatever AI or anything else that needs to be done there, training models. Grass, also a previous guest on this call, crossed 1.7 million active users for people who are giving up their Wi-Fi or their extra bandwidth to help train models and do a bunch of other things in the AI space. And Uprock now has 500,000 device IP addresses across 190 countries. And this is just 3 of the DPIN teams that are here. This is not even including Helium and HiveMapper and all the other great people that are going here. Can I get a little W for DPIN? Solana is the DPIN chain. DPIN is the narrative that's going to carry us forward and how we onboard people to earn their first crypto rather than buying it. That is what Super Team's all about, and that's clearly what DPIN's all about. Love to see it. So shout out to everyone over there. Win number 6. God, these numbers are getting nearly silly, if I'm being honest over here. These numbers are getting silly. $140 billion in all-time swap volume on Jupiter. Fun fact, when we first made this slide about 6 or 7 days ago, they had just crossed 100 billion. And now they're at 140 billion. So the number is going parabolic. The folks over there, Meow, Soju, Xiong, Ben, May, and everyone else in that team just ultimately crushing it here, seeing numbers that no one else is really capable of doing. This is all happening on Solana, folks. All happening every 400 milliseconds. 59 million total transactions. Big numbers over here. Win number 7, the Solana Genesis Day celebrations were a hit. Did anyone go to one of those? Can I get a little GM in the chat if you happen to go to one of these? That is, yeah, a bunch of folks did. These were celebrating the kind of birth of Solana, the first time a block was created. Shout out to Chris and all the super hosts around the world who helped organize these. 20 events on basically like a week's notice. 800 attendees came out to them. You can see all the photos over here, people getting together to celebrate Solana. The community is real. This is what happens when you have real culture. People actually want to come together and meet each other. And shout out to Yver as well for helping on this. Win number 8. This is, I think, one of the most underappreciated projects on Solana, quite frankly, because they don't do a lot on crypto Twitter, and they're not so loud. But CrossMint crossed 35,000 clients on their platform, and it's not just builders like you and me. It is including MasterCard, Etihad Airways, AC Milan, Asus, Coinbase, Deloitte, Red Bull. All of them are using CrossMint for their NFTs and their collectible strategies. Enterprise adoption is here, folks. People are using the technology, and when they do, they need a chain that allows them to scale up, because all of these people have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users. And CrossMint is there to help kind of onboard them and give them the tech they need to push it forward. They just launched a no-code minting product as well that people should check out. So big shout out to Rodri and the rest of the CrossMint team. All these football clubs are using them, as many other companies are. Okay, those are the numbers that are being done, a lot of big numbers. The next section is called We Like the Tech. This is about people coming over and using Solana here in a bunch of different ways. Circles, CCTP is now live on Solana. This is a huge deal, folks. Stablecoins are obviously, as I just mentioned, a big deal, have great product market fit on Solana itself. What you see now is a bridge that allows you to natively move over Circle from any of the other 8 blockchains that are supported. One-to-one capital efficiency happens at the speed of Solana. It's truly a giant deal. Now, never been easier for liquidity to be moved around reliably. And a lot of that is going to flow to Solana, as you can look at the inflows on Wormhole, on dBridge, and all the other bridges to see what's coming in. It is happening. So big shout out to Circle and the Wormhole teams for making this happen. There is a great DPIN migration underway as well. I just talked about how many DPIN apps are getting big user numbers. Other people are taking notice. So shout out to MetaBlocks and their Roam network, which is now migrated to Solana. They are a DPIN protocol, been around for a few years, do Wi-Fi hotspot sharing all around the world, I think 120 countries. They wanted to come on chain. Who did they choose? They chose Solana, of course, the DePIN chain. Port 3 is now integrating Solana into all of their products as well, which is, again, around this kind of like AI world, which we've seen just a lot of kind of handshake emojis between AI and DePIN here. Gather AI, speaking of them for data labeling, also about to launch on Solana. So DePIN projects all around are using Solana, and that's what we like to see. That is a giant W in my book. And in addition to them, AAA games are coming here as well. So big shout out to Parcl, which I think initially launched on Ethereum. They're launching a new game, an AI-powered game, very interesting game called Colony that's coming over to Solana. Neon Heroes, which is a AAA game as well, is live to play on the Epic Game Store right now in their pre-alpha. The games are here, the DePIN is here, the DeFi is here, stablecoins are here. A lot of good stuff happening over on Solana. Let's talk about some things that shipped as well. The first shipment here, Helios, Mert, the king of crypto Twitter, I think we can all agree. Him and the team shipped automatic private nodes, which now means in 4 clicks, anybody can spin up their own dedicated RPC node. This is a big deal for builders all over, particularly with the network being a bit congested as it is right now. So pretty big. Can I get a little Mert W in the chat? People, I think, should appreciate it. This one is a big deal. You can go check that out on Helios. Easy, a bald W. I saw somebody said it. Murdered, somebody else said it. That's good. Win number 13, introducing Core from Metaplex. They have shipped a next generation standard for NFTs, programmable NFTs, PNFTs. I think a ripe area for innovation, for new kind of products and ideas to be built out on. The cost of minting those has gone down by 87% with this new shipment that they just put out. So Core W, says Juliet in the chat. So does BK. Pretty incredible stuff. That team has been around for as long as Solana's been around, basically. So big shout out to them. And then finally, drop a little W in the chat for Wormhole. Obviously, you saw Wormhole rolled out their token yesterday. The industry's first multi-chain governance system, $700 million of value. Some folks on this call seem to have gotten some for themselves. So big shout out to the Wormhole Foundation, to the Wormhole Fellows, and to the Helios and Triton teams for kind of keeping the network alive during all of it. Not an easy thing to do. So they really ended up crushing it over there as well. And maybe, just maybe, you might have seen a little video on Twitter. But in case you didn't, here's a little video that Super Team put together. Shout out to Devya, Tanmay, Puneet, and the rest of the gang, Anirudh More as well. In case you missed it, here is the second premiere of The Doctor's Office.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. We got your Ether scan back, and unfortunately we found something.
What is it, Doc?
You've been diagnosed with ETH maximitis. You're an ETH maxi. An ETH maxi.
Doc, that's not possible.
It's okay. He's going to take some time to process this. He can only handle 10 alphabets per second.
He has been really slow lately.
Is he allergic to anything?
To any wallet that isn't MetaMask.
Allergic to good UI. Any difficulties while digesting?
He couldn't digest the fact that Austin Cadero went unbankless. But is he going to be okay, Doctor?
I'm going to need to run some more tests. What do you see here, Nathan?
What are you doing?
What? I'm just booking a cab with a decentralized application on Ethereum Layer 1. See? It's 5 minutes away.
He's seeing fully functioning consumer apps and white papers. That's stage 3 of ETH maximizes.
What does that mean, Doctor?
Do you see all of this gas in his transactions? It's only a matter of time till he gets wrecked.
There must be some cure.
We can reduce gas if we use Wormhole and bring him into the Solana ecosystem. Exposure to real apps that actually work can cure him. But we must act quickly or he'll progress to stage 5.
What happens in stage 5?
That could be fatal. That's when they start a podcast. Quick!
What's happening, Doctor?
It's a common reaction faced by ETH maxis, and they can't function without another layer. Layer 3! Layer 4! Every day, millions of devs suffer from ETH maximitis. Extend them a helping hand by guiding them to Solana, where they can create actual consumer dApps and not just white papers. Layer 68! Layer 69!
Gotta drop a little at the end of that. The creative team outdid themselves. Drop a little W in the chat for that. If you haven't already shared that on Twitter, I think it's nearing like 900,000 or a million views at this point. Do give that a little share. Show that to the ETH friends in your life and everybody else as well. All right, folks. With that said, let's move on quickly now to the next section, which is the state of Solana. We have a bunch of great guests coming up. Tristan's going to be talking from Backpack very shortly, Richard from Tensor, Gunny from Hero, Kellan from Parcl. But before we get there, let's quickly go through some big announcements that are important for everyone on this call to know about. Very quickly, Solana as a network has some crazy numbers this past month. Total value locked, I say it every time, it's not always the best metric. I think capital efficiency is kind of more interesting, but it doesn't hurt when total value lock goes up as well. Up 81% month on month here. $4.8 billion locked. 71% increase in active wallets, which is really interesting to me, given that the number of non-voting transactions per day stayed relatively constant. So more people perhaps doing a little bit less, or certainly more wallets acting on the network here. 914 true TPS, more than all of the ETH Layer 2s put together, and 1.1 million staking accounts. You've heard me say it a million times, folk. Stake your goddamn soul. Love to see this number going up 23% month on month. That is just fantastic. A few quick announcements before we get to the guests. The first one, this is a big one. Former guest on the ecosystem call. Maddie and the friends over at Coliseum, their Renaissance Hackathon submission window is now open. If you have not already started working on a project, it's not too late. There are people in the past who have been able to win prizes, get a job, get a grant, just by building really intensely for 4 or 5 days. And if you have started, let this be the kind of message that makes sure that you actually submit your goddamn project. Deadline is April 8th, which I think is next Monday or Tuesday, arena.coliseum.org. But here's the real alpha. People like alpha on these calls, I think, right? Here's the alpha, the side tracks. If you go to earn.superteam.fun, or superteamearn.com, you will see the side tracks. Well, in addition to the $500,000 or $600,000 of prizes on the main tracks, we have another $175,000 worth of prizes on Super Team Earn, including $25K from Drip on the future of collectibles, Wormhole sponsoring a project or a prize for $20,000, Blocksmith Labs for $18,000, Bonk, ONDC, a big partnership in India, big shout out to them, Saros Super App, and so many more. All the side tracks you can find on earn.superteam.fun. Do check those out for all the builders in the group. Next quick announcement here, Cash Landing is happening. I think we've already done 10 of these around the world, and many more are going to happen in April. Do keep a lookout. Go to cashlanding.fun. These are events where the goal is to kind of onboard other people to, again, understand how they can earn their crypto, not just they can earn their crypto, not just speculate on it. So we talk about DPIN, bounties, grants, and jobs, and everything else. It's a great way to onboard, friends who are interested in kind of this crypto thing now that it's hot again. Great place to bring them. And if you're already an expert, maybe you don't need to learn. Maybe you want to kind of do some community building. You can apply to host. We'll cover the costs, give you the deck, give you everything else you need to have a successful event. Cashlanding.fun. Anyone in the chat been to one? Can I get a little W if someone here has been to any of those yet? I think Danny's been to a few, Amir, Tashar. Yeah, all right. So a few folks here have Elias and so on. All right, next one. Announcement here, the largest Solana community conference. This is very cool. See, 2 or 3 years ago, there was something like 24 hacker houses. And every year that number has gone down. Has it gone down because the Solana Foundation cannot afford it? No. It has gone down because the foundation has a very clear vision that it is up to the community, to organizations like Super Team and like Solana All-Stars to kind of rise up and carry some of that weight. So the fine folks over at Step Finance are hosting a conference in May in Istanbul, 3,000 attendees, 50 speakers. It is going to be a great time. Totally going to be there. Paul, Ansem, possibly yours truly might be giving a little bit of talk. And there are rumors of an airdrop for ticket holders. So the ticket prices are about to go up, I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So go to solanacrossroads.com to check that out. May 10th and 11th in Istanbul. It's going to be a banger. Speaking of community events, I got to say, sorry, it's a quick side note. Hold on. Breaking news, folks. There is a $7,000 bounty prize pool for Solana Crossroads, specifically over on Super Team Earn. If you can create some content about that, get some hype up, let people know what's going on, you will be eligible for it as well. But in terms of big things happening soon, anyone here going to Island DAO? Anyone in the chat looking forward to get a little sea sun in Solana? Mountain DAO for European builders is happening. Shout out to everyone who's been putting this together. I know Chase and Jars and Dean and many others are doing this. 250 people already signed up and many more to come. That's going to be a banger. May 17th to June 14th, co-working, workshops, all that good stuff. make sure that you can make that happen. Taki Soul as well, I know, has been involved in this. Two other quick ones. This is actual breaking news, folks. I'm announcing this right now for the first time in the world. The first ever Solana Summit for APAC is happening in June in Kuala Lumpur, organized by Super Team. Big shout out to An and Henry from that side of the world. Jupiter, obviously, great team, and Venta as well, coming together to host a summit for anyone in the APAC region. It's going to be all sorts of talks. They'll have regulators, legal experts, and many other people there outside of your normal builders to be going through everything about crypto in Asia, and it's entirely free. So all you got to do is go to Kuala Lumpur in June to get involved over there. And then finally, last announcement, this is a special shout out to my guy Chase Barker for putting this together here. Turbine is now here. Turbine is founded by the team behind Web3 Builders Alliance. A lot of great builders. I think BK, who's in the chat right now, maybe went through them. I know Anna saying a little W. Shout out to Anna here as well for Web3 Builders Alliance. Great builders, one of the best educational programs on Solana. They now have started a dev shop as well. Really high caliber team doing really high caliber development work. So people can kind of graduate out of their education program and into the dev shop team. So if you or someone you know needs really high caliber development, they've done work with Wormhole and many others, they are the place to go. That's Turbine. It's turbine3.com to go check that out. Full suite of Solana development services over there, folks. And that is all for the announcements. Let's go now next into the state of Backpack. Tristan is the co-founder of Backpack. He is the co-founder of Mad Lads. He's co-founder of the Backpack, the exchange, as well as Backpack, the wallet. If you haven't already checked out Mad Lads, one of the top NFT collections out there, Backpack, a great decentralized wallet, and Backpack, of course, an exchange that has recently expanded. While we wait for him, I'm going to announce something. This is a breaking news announcement, folks. Breaking news announcement. We are sponsoring a series of Mad Lads and Super Team are teaming up to go around the globe, a series of Mad Lad poker games that anyone can apply to host. You'll get some coverage from us. We'll help you distribute it. We'll help you ensure that it goes pretty well, and maybe throw some money your way to make sure that you can host a kind of baller event, a mad event, if you will. So you bring the degens, you play some poker in April, we will cover the costs. Launchpad.superteam.fun. You can go apply to that right now to host. Super Team members and Mad Lads holders will get preference, but anybody around the world can actually come through and host one of these games. This is going to be crazy. I want to see at least 70 games in 50 different countries around the world happening all around that kind of Fawkett ethic. This is how we onboard people, folks. Bring them in with a little candy, something that they love, and inevitably the conversation is going to turn to crypto, and there is going to be the opportunity to onboard some folks. With that said, my guy Tristan, you missed my little intro for you, Tristan. I called you the co-founder of my heart. I will say, the one thing you should do is not ask Tristan why he is coming to the Akshay Summit on April 20th. Tristan from Backpack. How you doing, my guy?
Yeah, I did not think that one through too well before sending it to an intern in the Middle East. That was probably not the best sort of decision there, but we had a good laugh on our end. Thanks for having me, Cash. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, my guy. Let's start off with some of the obvious stuff. So, Tristan, you and Armani have been on the call multiple times, but since you were last on the call, you happened to launch this little exchange with, how many billions are you guys doing in daily volume right now?
So at the moment, I think today something like $1.5 billion in daily volume. In the last 45, 60 days, we've done something like $34 billion of spot volume.
Can I get a little fucking mad in the chat for just how insane those numbers are? For those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about the preseason and what you guys had in mind there?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. So essentially, once we got the product live, we had this initial drop with Pith, which was the moment that we came into the world, the moment that people saw us for the first time. And then we realized that this was a really impactful distribution mechanism to give Solana projects distribution to different demographics that they may not currently have from their current on-chain applications. And so we realized that there was something that could be systematized here in the same way that Binance has their launch pool, as does OKX and Bybit. This was a mechanism for us to do a similar thing, except rather than having sort of token extraction to us as the exchange, it could all be directed to growth to help these partner projects, and on our end to help new users come into the exchange. And the preseason was the first part of this. It's where we started counting users' volume, because we essentially realized we needed to see the quote unquote value of the user in the sense of Was it a larger player? Do they have more deposits? Do they have more assets? Are they trading more volume? Are they a small farmer? That we could essentially guarantee these projects that their tokens are getting distributed to people who are on the higher end of the quote unquote value scale. I'm not making any moral judgments here. I'm just saying from like a purely, amount of crypto held perspective. And so the preseason was from February 13th until March 18th. And it was the first snapshot of this volume. There's about $27.5 billion of volume. And the reward for this first snapshot was the 27 million wormhole tokens that were distributed yesterday. They're still actually being distributed right now because it's 300,000 transactions. So it's making us implement internal transfers at breakneck speed. So these will all go out to people here shortly.
Trial by fire, that's like $30 million in rewards going out to folks at current prices, I think, on Wormhole, which is incredible. But so that's the preseason. What can you tell us about what's actually going to happen in the season?
Yeah, so the preseason is still ongoing. We're in phase 2 of the preseason. Actually, super honored for one of these panelists here to be our next partner for the next drop on the exchange. Richard, co-founder of Tensor, a leading NFT exchange, not only in Solana, but globally. They're an amazing team. We've had the honor of working with them across several different things for months now, and it's been quite the pleasure. So this second phase of the preseason is all about Tensor. So we've just been kind of letting our communities know around the world this is coming, setting up all the different structure for the drop, and sending folks over to Tensor to place their first trade. So really stoked to be working with those guys.
The best. All the homies.
The last thing I'll say is that we have a variety of other projects that we'll be working with over the next several months up until the end of the year. So we plan to continue to be this distribution vehicle for projects that are seeking exposure to this APAC demographic of degens, which we're also bringing into the Solana ecosystem, by the way. We have something like almost 600K KYC users, 330K active traders on the exchange in the last month and a half. And the vast majority of these people have never used Solana before.
Bringing them from the sex world into the DEX world and beyond. And speaking of that, actually, obviously, in addition to the exchange, you also have the Backpack wallet, which is my daily driver. I think people on the call probably already know this. You guys have been launching a bunch of stuff, including the side panel that saves me like 200 clicks a day on average, I would say. Can you tell the people a little bit about the wallet and what is cooking over there? Maybe if there's some alpha to share, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wallet is finally feeling on par, if not top of class. There's obviously still a little bit of work to be done. I think on the app signing side, it's really smooth, really easy to use. There's a little bit of slowness on the transaction sending, which we're fixing up now, and then everything should be snappy as possible. And we're just continuing to push out products that we think improve the user experiences of people on Solana. The side panel is one of them. Imagine side panel plus auto approve for specific dApps. It just makes it much smoother and quicker. You don't have to think about this pop-up coming up, out and in and out and in. And did you sign? Did you not sign? Did it go through? It's just there permanent. You see your token balances updating in real time. We do have split stake accounts, Stefan, in the stake module on Sol. We actually allow you to combine stake accounts as well. We don't have instant unstaking because there's a liquidity consideration there, obviously, or there's like a whole business built around that, but that is a good piece of feedback. So thank you for sending that over. And yeah, so essentially we're just going to keep rolling out functionality. We're going to get it to be top of class. If it isn't already, it's my daily driver. I don't really use any of the others at this point, which makes me feel pretty confident in where it's at. And we've integrated Wormhole. We're going to be adding other chains. And we hope for it to be sort of this portal into the Solana ecosystem from all these different chains.
That's pretty fantastic. I'm excited for people to check it out if you haven't already, the Backpack wallet. But so in general then, you got all these kind of good things cooking right now. You have the exchange. You obviously have the wallet as well. What is next for Backpack? What is the alpha here that you can give the folks at home?
Yeah, well, I kind of already spilled the beans, so this is maybe a little bit lame, but we have a lot more of these events with really amazing partners. And we hope that the Solana ecosystem participants come and participate in this as well. A lot of this is now being sort of, I don't know if given is the word, but the representation of participation is mostly folks who are new to the ecosystem. These are a lot of people who we've onboarded from the sex world, but would also love to have the Solana ecosystem people there in the trenches with us. Also, if anyone has any feedback about the wallet, about the exchange, please send that over. And then the last bit of alpha is we're going to do a little campaign here to give out merch. Is that right, Cash?
That is, see, this is the thing. Every time I wear my backpack merch, people like literally stop me and like, what are you doing? It's like one of my favorite pieces of merch in the world. So maybe, just maybe, we could do a little giveaway. What do you think?
Let's do it. I feel like this super team ecosystem absolutely deserves it.
Let's do it. So folks, 15 pieces of merch are going to be sent out to folks all around the world.
Let's say 30. Let's say 30 cash.
Fuck it, let's go up to 30. There we go. Right there on the call. All you got to do is scan this QR code. It'll take you to Twitter. Just tweet out "fuck it," tag at backpack, and make it happen. You can click the link that Tristan just put into the chat as well. 30 people are going to be chosen at random over the next 48 hours. That way we can let our replay party friends have a chance at this as well. And we'll DM you and send some merch your way. So
yeah, and put the "fuck it" before the at backpack, or it'll hide your post. So we'll go and look through. Thank you so much.
There you go. Tristan, thanks so much for coming out. As I mentioned, Tristan is going back to a board meeting now, so he's got to go back from this call to talk to some powerful people over there. But Tristan, appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming out. Always a pleasure to see you, my guy. Folks, get involved in this giveaway here. Just scan this QR code, 30 pieces of merch. This merch is very high quality. I can tell you that right now. And we will check on that in the next 48 hours. And as just a reminder, launchpad.superteam.fun to apply to host one of the Mad Lad poker games. You bring the degens, we'll cover the costs. You'll have a great time. There's probably also going to be some bounties and some prizes for the maddest game. So the best location, perhaps the biggest poker tournament that gets hosted with the Mad Lads branding. We'll have all sorts of assets for you to use to kind of blow those events up and make them feel like something really special. So go apply, launchpad.superteam.fun. Okay, with that said, let's bring on our next guest here. One of the cool things about the Solana ecosystem call is, since we've been doing it now for like more than a year, I think like a year and a half, and we've had just Chads coming on the call constantly, Chads and Chadettes. It's been great to see people kind of grow over time as well. So when this next guest was last on the call, like last July, I think they were at something like, a million-ish in TVL on their platform. And now they've increased that by 180x. They've done $1 billion of volume in the last 4 months. They are just crushing it on every dimension. I think it is personally one of the best UXs of any dApp on Solana or in crypto in general. It just works and feels flawless. Please drop a little GM in the chat for Kellan from Parcl.
Thanks, Gosh. Great to be here. Excited to talk about Parcl.
Pleasure to have you, my friend. So just in case anyone who's not already familiar, can you give them the quick lowdown on what Parcl is and maybe where it fits into this kind of real world asset narrative in the landscape of Solana?
Yeah, for sure. And I think probably a lot of people are now familiar, thanks in large part to the points program, over 200,000 participants, many of which I'm sure are on this call. So shout out to all them.
Including me.
Yeah, Parcl, there you go. Parcl is a synthetic asset protocol that tracks real world real estate prices. So you can get exposure to real world real estate prices via an index that flows through an oracle, goes into a decentralized perps exchange, and you can trade long short. Right now, there's 13 markets, all of them in North America. More are coming. A lot of the watch parties are being held in places that I think are on the near or intermediate term roadmap. So maybe there's like the first little taste of alpha. And where it's interesting, where Parcl sits in the real world asset conversation, it's a unique positioning, right? It's a novel kind of implementation where you're getting exposure to real world, what's happening on the ground through a price index, and you're getting synthetic exposure. So it's unique, but it's important and it's useful. And I think where we think about the long-term utility here is, I think a lot of the activity thus far has been primarily speculation, but there's so much more to this product than just speculation. You can think of any market in the world that has a very healthy spot market or physical market. Real estate's the largest asset class in the world, over $300 trillion of net asset value globally. Somewhere between 10 and 20 trillion of that trades in any given year. So it doesn't move a ton, but when it does, it's big dollars. And you look at most other, synthetic or derivative markets around underlying spot, and they generally do at least 1x the volume of kind of the annual turnover. So that's kind of how we see the opportunity. And I think when you think about the real world utility, it's beyond speculation. It's hedging, it's risk mitigation, it's a bridge exposure for large institutions that are building projects in certain regions that need to have exposure during that period to cover their financing risk. It's for renters who do not have exposure, and it's the largest expense in their P&L would be their housing costs. Same thing for homeowners. They don't have a great way to hedge. And it could, you could think of this replacing private mortgage insurance. It could be a synthetic insurance product. We've talked about the use case where like a hurricane is bearing down, no insurer would underwrite that, but you could get exposure on Parcl. So really exciting, great growth. You mentioned 180x. I mean, pretty fantastic. So again, shout out to everyone that's tested out Parcl over the past 6 months.
And just getting started here, I think L wrote saying need good pricing for RWA to function. Indeed, I think like the amount of data that you guys are bringing on chain and like putting into these indexes is just kind of mind boggling. So for anyone who hasn't checked it out, Kellan just mentioned like 12 different use cases by traditional markets. This is how we bring the world on chain, by creating products that they cannot get anywhere else that solve real problems for real people in the real world. It's the reason I'm so excited about Parcl as well. Another thing that's very exciting right now is you have, of course, announced a token. Can you tell the people a little bit about the Parcl token, how it's going to work, and kind of what the long-term vision is there?
Yeah, for sure. Parcl Limited announced a token. I didn't announce anything, but Parcl Limited is going to have an initial distribution of a network token sometime over the next couple of weeks. Very exciting. I think 3 core pillars here with utility for that token, governance, which is pretty straightforward. I think there's a really interesting opportunity here to deeply involve the community in some fundamental aspects of the protocol. There was a big community vote a couple of weeks ago that was managed through Discord. Fairly inefficient process, but great turnout. Over 2,500 unique community members turned out to discuss what everyone wanted to do with these global price fees, namely London and Paris, because the only collateral asset on the exchange today is USDC. Parcl is actually the second largest source of USDC on the Solana network behind Binance, and the 8 past Parcl are all decentralized exchanges or centralized exchanges. So there needs to be a solution for folks that are looking for an exchange risk in some of these new markets, since they are priced in the native currency. So I think you can think of that as like a fundamental pillar for governance. Number 2, and we kind of touched on this in the last, I touched on the last answer, and you alluded to it in the follow-up. The data side is incredible here. What Parcl Labs has done is kind of game changing. And as the token holders, the network token holders will have access to a Parcl Labs API, giving them access to best in class, world class residential real estate data in North America, in the United Kingdom, in France, and soon around the world, developed Asia, Canada, Australia, etc. Which I think that I've seen some demos. You can plug this thing into ChatGPT, query anything you want. It spits out charts, code, data tables. It's incredible, and I think that is like utility that is very unique, and I think people will really appreciate it, including people that are not yet here, including institutions, right, who have a huge value for this data. So that's awesome. And then the third pillar is network incentives, ongoing ecosystem incentives. The points program, obviously, I would call it like the pre-Parcl network token points program, just wrapped up. We'll talk about that in a second. Perpetual points was just announced. Those are ongoing perpetually. So it's a way to more deeply integrate and interact with the DApp. And get network rewards for doing so, for helping improve liquidity and for being a critical part of the infrastructure. So that's how you should think about the Parcl network token.
A lot of good stuff happening there. But so you mentioned on points as well. So what can you say to all the participants from season 3 and about what's going to happen next on the point side?
Yeah, for sure. So within the next, let's call it 5 to 7 days or early next week, there will be a final leaderboard undergoing an audit, make sure everyone played nice and played fair. Also, there's going to be a final boost for folks that were loyal and consistent. Everyone loves that. So stay tuned for that. There's a couple exciting announcements coming alongside that. So there's something for the HOA, the Homeowners Association holders. There's actually something for Mad Lads. We've been cooking up stuff with Tristan and team, which is awesome. So stay tuned. And then, initial community distribution, as far as we all know, should be within the next, let's call it 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Game time's almost here. Last question here for the sake of...
I got to plug one thing. I got to obviously plug perpetual points, which are ongoing. You are earning perpetual points now. You just can't see them on the UI, but you are earning them now for your activity on the DApp as an LP, as a trader. So keep going, and you'll see them in a couple weeks.
Pretty good stuff, folks. There you go. That's some alpha for everybody who's been asking when, and how this is all going to function. The last thing that I think we'll have time for real quick is I've seen you guys been teasing something with Drip. Can you talk about the story there and about these fine fellows right here?
Yeah, this is exciting. I think people will like this. Anyone who participated in the points program will have an opportunity to check in here and when this goes live. Parcl intern has spearheaded this. He's done a great job riling up the community. I think there's going to be a vote for which of these people like best. These aren't the only ones, but it's just a sample size. And then obviously everyone rock those PFPs over the next couple of weeks and raise awareness for Parcl.
Interns on top forever. All right, Kellan, I know there was one other thing you wanted to say real fast because we're a little bit over time here.
Yeah.
What can you tell the people about this image right here?
Yeah, so everyone knows Solana Beach. Obviously, Raj and Toli know it really well. And Parcl Labs has gotten to know it pretty well too. So I just want to get a gauge of interest on this call for anyone who might want to trade a Solana Beach price feed. Here it is. You can see it's been kind of up and to the right, but it's a little volatile. So this could be a pretty cool meme, Solana native integration, and maybe throw a little Solana Beach in the chat if you're interested.
Yeah, drop a little W. Make it easy on their fingers so they don't have to type as much. If you're interested in seeing Solana Beach over here, drop a little W in the chat. And they might just have to add that. I mean, it seems like you're going to have to add that market now. I don't know if there's going to be much of a choice here.
We're boxed in now. Parcel's boxed in. Yeah.
You've committed publicly, my friend. Well, Kellan, thank you so much for coming out. Go check out Parcl, folks. You've seen them before on the call. They're longtime builders in the ecosystem, and they're doing something very fun as well, which is a little giveaway for the aforementioned Homeowners Association NFT. A very cool little 3D model NFT here. They are very useful for points program. They're very useful for the beauty of your wallet. I think that they're going for about 12 or 13 SOL right now as well, so good for the pocketbook. Stick around until the very end of the call to get the POAP. One lucky POAP holder will get airdropped this Homeowner Association NFT. So shout out to Kellan and shout out to the Parcl team for rewarding the ecosystem call loyal over here. All right, with that said,
Josh.
Pleasure, brother. Let's talk next about decentralization and growth. And here we're going to bring up on stage a guy who really doesn't need any introduction. If you were at the Solana boat party, or the Super Team yacht party, was anyone at the Solana boat party, the Solana roast, the Bear Market Awards in the chat? He was part of the team that was announced Builder of the Year last year by yours truly and many others. He is known all around the ecosystem for not sleeping, basically, and just building and shipping code faster than anyone else on this planet. And he's here to talk to us a little bit about decentralization and growth. Drop a little GM in the chat for the King Tensorian himself, Richard from Tensor. Richard, how you doing?
GM. Thanks for the awesome intro, Cash. Thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Tensor, and in particular, I think most people here would have figured out already. You announced the decentralization of the Tensor protocol and this Tensor Foundation element as well. Can you talk to the people a little bit about the relationship between Tensor and the Tensor Foundation?
Sure. So I think for the most part of Tensor's lifetime, it has been essentially a single group of contributors. Everyone working at Tensor Labs have built this, one awesome marketplace website that has become the homepage for NFTs in the past few months. That is Tensor.trade. And of course, in that process, we built a number of awesome NFT protocols underneath, specifically a marketplace protocol, an NFT AMM protocol. We recently introduced Price Lock, which lets you long and short NFTs with a fraction of the actual NFT price. And that has been doing exceptionally. We had more and more users adopting those protocols and using Tensor.trade every single day. That being said, NFTs are and will become exponentially more complex. And Tensor, in its current state, Tensor.trade, cannot possibly be the front page for all types of NFTs going forward. And so what we are basically doing in the next couple of months and starting on April 8th is we will be decentralizing all of our protocols. And what that means is we'll be open sourcing every single one of our contracts. We'll be releasing brand new SDKs an awesome new REST API so that you can integrate directly into the Tensor protocols within 5 to 10 minutes of dev time. And we want to essentially have other people build the next Tensor of the next generation. And Foundation is the core organization and entity that will be pushing this forward. Of course, they'll have a number of ways where token holders will be able to govern how the protocols evolve and what kind of parameters are updated in the protocols.
Pretty incredible. The builders in the chat are dropping W's already. They're ready to get after it here. Can you talk about like how you think about decentralization and how it's kind of relevant for the rest of the Solana ecosystem as well, maybe? Because we talk a lot about decentralization. A lot of decentralization theater is out there. And I don't think that's the direction you guys are going in. I think you guys are going in true decentralization. Would you mind talking a little bit about how you think about it?
Yep. So when it comes to decentralization, I think what's super important is how things are structured has to align both, the core contributors, which is Tensor Labs currently, but also people who are planning to build on top of Tensor. One of the big things that's sort of an alpha drop right now is that if you decide to build on top of the Tensor protocols, then a part of the fees that currently go to Tensor Labs will actually be split 50-50 between the foundation and the people that are building on top. Which means if you build a really cool verticalized NFT marketplace front end on top of the Tensor protocols, you'll be earning 50% of all fees that flow through your UI. And the other 50% will go directly into the foundation's treasury. And so that really aligns incentives where there's all the more reason for us to support you, to help you with distribution, to get all existing Tensor.trade and Tensor protocol users to start using your front end. And all of that benefits the Tensor Foundation ultimately, as well as growing the Tensor ecosystem and getting more and more builders to decide to build on top of us versus trying to spin up their own contract. And so this creates like a very nice flywheel where the more apps that get built on top of Tensor, the more people that are plugged into the same standard, same marketplace, and that allows everyone to sort of share liquidity and share distribution.
Gotta say, decentralization that kind of compounds and not only rewards builders in the ecosystem who are creating value, but has this beautiful kind of network effect that is able to rapidly scale and align incentives properly is pretty great. So if you are thinking about decentralization or how you might be able to decentralize your own protocols, hopefully you can take some inspiration because it seems like a really great model. But what kind of like applications or use cases do you think or would you like to see built on top of some of the Tensor protocols? Does anything come to mind?
So I mentioned a couple. Yeah, I mentioned a couple. So I mentioned verticalized NFT marketplaces. I think that there is a lot of greenfield in that space. And clearly we've seen NFT marketplaces have great product market fit. People want to buy and sell NFTs. Of course, NFTs can come in many different forms. And right now, Tensor.trade is hyper optimized for the current meta of NFTs, which tends to be like the collectibles, PFP, and maybe sort of the long tail of, like drip NFTs. But clearly it's not the best UI for, let's say, sneakers, right? Like you probably want to be trading, if sneakers ever took off, like tokenized sneakers that people usually would trade on StockX, but now are tokenizing it on chain. Tensor.trade is probably not the best UI. So it'd be really interesting to see people build verticalized NFT front ends on top of the Tensor protocols. I think new interfaces when it comes to the NFT trading experience is also like pretty compelling. So we're seeing a lot of new like Telegram and chatbots come up, especially for like fungible tokens. I think seeing chatbots and Telegram bots built on top of NFTs and the Tensor protocols would be really cool. Games are, of course, always on the top of our mind. I think STEPN really proved that in the last cycle, where they basically had one of the most active NFT marketplaces on chain ever, right? And I think obviously, if you're building a great game and you have, you're thinking about like, okay, there's all this on-chain trading infrastructure I'll have to build, but I also have to like perfect the core game loop. That's really difficult, right? Like ideally, you should be focusing entirely on the core game loop and not trying to reinvent the wheel by building your own marketplace as well. And so ideally, we can make that process as easy as possible for you. And so you can focus all of your time on building a great game and then just plugging into Tensor directly for the trading aspect of it. Also, like,
Folks.
I think in general, like, I probably won't be able to enumerate every single idea that will have a killer NFT use case. And that's because I frankly don't know what the future of NFTs, what the next big thing for NFTs look like. Chances are it will be some crazy, like very experimental consumer idea that just takes off. Kind of like how Friendtech basically disrupted the SocialFi movement a couple of months ago. I think there will be some crazy idea out there. One of you crazy builders will probably like try to attempt it and actually like make it happen. And those are the types of ideas we want to see being built on top of Tensor.
And I think that's a call to arms to all the builders who are watching this. There's a bunch of ideas there. You surely have some other interesting ideas as well. And Tensor is going to be launching a grants program as well to help fund this as well. So if you are building on top of the Tensor stack going forward, go follow. Actually, let me ask you, Richard, what is the best way to stay looped in here going forward? Is it following the Tensor Foundation on Twitter?
Yep, that's exactly right. Tensor Foundation will be putting out announcements going forward on any new grants program. We'll be running one with Super Team as well, or actually Foundation will be running one with Super Team, and we'll be supporting all the logistical aspects of it. But there'll also be a grant program that Tensor Foundation actually runs through the governance forums. So stay tuned, follow Tensor Foundation. Of course, if you haven't already, follow Tensor_HQ, which is sort of the Twitter page for the main Tensor app. And yeah, that's how you stay up to date with all future announcements we'll have coming out from the Tensor protocol.
There we go, folks. That is the alpha. If you are a builder, if you're building in the NFT space, if you have a crazy idea, now is the time to get involved. Go check out Tensor. Get ready to build on top of their stack as they continue to decentralize. W's in the chat, much needed over here. All right, Richard, thanks so much for coming out. We're going to get to our final guest in just a moment here, folks, and I promise you're going to want to stick around for it because there's some very good alpha coming through there. But as a quick reminder, we are also doing a Breakpoint ticket giveaway, as we do every call. Each ticket's worth $1,000 here. All you got to do is get your POAP and then tweet a screenshot of your POAP to @DruvRaj641. He's one of the Cubic co-founders. Want to show him a little bit of love on Twitter here as well. Reach out to him, just show him your POAP, and you will be eligible for this free Breakpoint ticket. Shriji, you just put the link into the chat. All right. With that said, let's go over here to the final guest, far from the the best. We saved the last, or maybe not the best, but we have a really great guest. I have all the other guests still on the call, so I can't take favorites right now, Gunny. But Gunny has been building in the space, and not only is he himself a great builder, I think what I really appreciate about Hero is the way that they support other builders all across the ecosystem. So many other projects are built on top of what Hero has put together. So drop a little GM in the chat for Gunny here from the Hero Network. Gunny, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Cash. Thanks for having us here today, man.
Absolute pleasure. Let me just make sure that I have you here. So what can you tell the people? What is the latest on the Hero Network and the launch of the derivatives trading that you guys have been doing, the betting applications and everything else on Solana?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as you know, we've been longtime builders and huge Solana maxis since 2021. For those that are not familiar, Hero Network's protocols provide all the underlying infrastructure and liquidity to power derivatives trading and betting applications on-chain on Solana. So kind of similar to what Serum did very early on as a base layer for order books for spot markets, which is now like an open, kind of like open book, Hero is doing for derivatives. So things like perpetual futures, expiring futures, and prediction and betting markets. So basically, Hero is like the Solana-based fully on-chain infrastructure powering what a lot of people have coined as kind of like, and we kind of laugh about the world's greatest casino now, which is crypto, which in the world that our networks builders are creating includes both trading and betting. Hero was really built to attack the liquidity problems that plague crypto derivative dexes, especially on chain, and aggregates liquidity at the protocol layer. So integrated platforms that are connected to the network can unify and share the liquidity into one unified market and scale together rather than being isolated. We have an incredibly, after a couple of years of really intense building, have an incredibly rapidly growing ecosystem of trading and betting applications that have either integrated or are currently in the process of integrating with the network. So including 2 derivative applications or derivative trading platforms. There's 8 additional that are integrating right now. The 2 that are live that you can connect to, one called PepperDex that's in a beta. And then I think a lot of people here are familiar with Guacamole. Guac launched something called GuacDex. So Hero powers both a betting game and their perp decks. And then some other projects that I think probably a lot of the super team community is familiar with. Flowmatic, Convergence, DGen Ape Academy, we're working on a DEX with them, an automated trading bot called RunBot. And then also we are working with BonkSwap now on powering perpetuals for them as well, plus 3 fairly well-known Telegram and SocialFi trading bots that we're going to be powering perps for. On the betting side, there's currently 2 Web3 betting platforms that are live. There's multiple in progress. Plus, we have multiple aggregators who collectively represent more than 250 Web2 iGaming, like casino platform operators that are going to be carrying Hero-powered betting games, which is all told about 2 million total monthly active users.
That's a lot of users. And I think that what's so cool to see here is the kind of network effects that are happening here by having all this derivative liquidity in one place. So many new kind of applications can come on top. Any existing community can launch something in this space. Big shout out to PepperDeck, super team members behind that one, Karthik and the boys over there. I think in addition to what you guys have here in your normal derivatives, you're also doing some real kind of innovation. I know we're doing, I see Karthik's in the chat as well. Shout out to Karthik. I know we're a little short on time here, but I want to make sure people can get a chance to understand 0-day futures and what they're all about. So like, what are they actually solving for, and why is that such an attractive product in the world of kind of DeFi innovation here? I think we even have.
Sure, I'll go quickly with this. So as we know, the majority of trading, margin-based or leverage trading, in crypto assets is generally done using perps or perpetual futures. While perps have definitely found a market fit, they're not really scalable for less liquid underlying assets, for example, on like meme coins or shit coins. You cannot really source liquidity for perpetuals on illiquid or less liquid underlying spot markets. So for perps, once you kind of get outside of like the main blue chips like Bitcoin, ETH, or SOL, it's almost impossible to source any reasonable liquidity. So this is where we've created this product called 0-day futures. I think some people maybe are familiar from the retail TradFi space with 0 DTE options. So somewhat similar to that. So what 0 days are USDC settled expiring futures that have a daily expiration. They're similar to perpetuals in that they're a margin derivatives product, but different in that they require no need to pay or receive funding, and they expire every day by settling in USDC to the underlying Oracle price. Because they always settle back to the underlying Oracle once per day, and because they do not require the trader to pay or receive funding, liquidity providers become very interested in providing liquidity to these markets, so it makes it easy to drum up substantial liquidity. So when you have like all these exciting meme coins, or kind of this meme coin craze that we're going through in the cycle right now, it makes it very easy for us to, or for our ecosystem to spin up these 0-day futures as a way to trade these things with leverage. So greatly opening up the opportunity set for leverage trading on Solana, which is our bread and butter. The network. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think it's fantastic. You want to finish the point there?
Yeah. So the network currently has launched markets on Bitcoin with When, Bonk, and yesterday with the launch of Wormhole, we've launched a Wormhole ZDF as well, each which can be traded up to 100 times leverage. Any project that is integrated with Hero is able to offer the 0-day futures. I think currently the best place to find them is on PepperDeck, who's done an amazing job of getting these live, and they're running some exciting things with some exciting incentives as well. So it's been a great start.
if you're interested in building on DeFi, I think Hero is an excellent partner to be able to do that with. You can tap into their liquidity. I can tell you from talking to builders myself, they're a super hands-on team, willing to work with builders and help them kind of make sure that their products really work and get some traction here. And then I see Anna in the chat, the queen of stable coins herself, 0-day future options with the Chi-Town trading gain. Pretty great. It seems that if there's a bit of an issue over here. All right, well, last thing that we want to do real quick is figure out this Hero token of yours, Gunny. So I think we have a nice juicy giveaway here to talk about. Can you share a little bit about the Hero token and what we're doing over on this side?
Absolutely. So HXRO, so Hero, it's a value accrual based protocol token. If anyone saw recently what Uniswap did with their proposal for revenue share to token holders, Hero's actually been doing this since its staking launched back in early last year, in early 2023. Remember all the projects I mentioned building on Hero protocols, since they're powered by the network collects a small transaction fee from all volume that takes place on the network. So kind of like a toll booth, 50% of every transaction, which mostly is in USDC and also in Bonk and Guac, goes directly to staked Hero token holders. As the network grows with more live integrations, volumes, and fees that are collected will obviously grow, which means that there's more rewards for stakers. Currently, 35% of the entire token supply and token ecosystem is staked to the network for an average of 1.6 years. It does have a boost for longer term staking, so very much like a vote escrow or VE style staking. In addition to protocol rev share, holding and staking Hero also entitles you to multiple airdrops from ecosystem partners, which there'll be a lot of announcements coming up on those. Network fee discounts for stakers, and a very lucrative incentives program that we're going to be adding some additional exciting features to very soon. And so today, as a big thank you to Cash and the amazing super team ecosystem, we're giving away 50,000 Hero, 5,000 Hero each to 10 winners. So I think 5 people from the Zoom and then 5 people that are watching live, which Cash and the team will pick.
That is right, folks. I think it's very generous to be doing this. A shout out to Hero for supporting the whole ecosystem and the Solana
Absolutely.
loyal.
Great to be here, man.
I would say if you're looking to design your own token, if you're thinking about tokenomics, the Hero's got one of the most interesting kind of token designs that I've seen. There's real value accrual. There's real reasons to use it. It's quite interesting to see. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Go check it out yourself and learn for your own self. I do not want to go to jail. I will just say that Gunny is great. The team is great. And thank you so much for coming on, Gunny.
Thanks, Cash. Been wonderful. Appreciate it.
Cheers, brother. All right, folks, I know we're a little bit past time, so I'm going to very quickly fly through work turn, and we'll get to that POAP, which is going to be your gateway to all the giveaways we've been talking about. First one, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about Metaplex Core, go to earn.superteam.fund. You can win $1,500 for writing a Twitter thread. That's all you got to do. Research for a few hours, learn about it, come up with a compelling story or a compelling angle, and you are going to be able to win this bounty. There's a $4,000 project right now. Any of the devs out there, DevRels, people who are just writers and kind of technically minded, can also qualify for this project to write technical docs for the Rome protocol, who are building a shared sequencer. Pretty gigabrain stuff, very exciting and interesting. Do definitely go check that out. And then there's an excellent job, one of the highest paying jobs in the ecosystem right now, are over at Jito. Prior guests on the ecosystem call. They're looking for a MEV-REL, like an MEV relations expert. You need to be a technical expert in MEV, Solana, and Jito Lab systems, and then act as a liaison between their numerous customers and the Jito team. This is an awesome role that people should go check out. And in general, if you are looking for work, if you're looking to earn, or if you're looking for Solana native talent, maybe you're a builder, you're trying to hire some folks, you need some critical work done, development, content design, you can find all of that on earn.superteam.fun. It's guaranteed to give you a good hair day every single day. My hair, only because I use Super Team Earn, and you should too. All right, folks, we have a little world premiere, but I know we're past time, so I'm going to play the world premiere of the music video, Shoutout Solana, in just a second. But before I do, here is the POAP for anyone that wants to get it. Please note, you will not get the POAP right away. Due to network congestion and bots being awful, we've had to set up a slightly different system. So now you can scan this QR code. You'll be asked to fill out a short form we have to connect either your Twitter or your Discord. That way we know you're a real person. And then over the next kind of 4 to 6 hours, possibly a little bit longer due to network congestion, we'll see, we will be airdropping those POAPs to you. So you can scan this right now. It's a beautiful piece of art. Shout out to Srijani. She started as an ops person, has a degree in computer science, and now she's like one of the foremost artists on Solana. Gotta say, that's pretty great. W for Srijani. This is the QR code right here that people can check out. I'll leave this up for just another second or two. Listen, I know folks might have to go. If you have another minute or two, I encourage you to stick around because we have a banger music video that I'm very excited to show you from Dr. Preballen and the Little Unusual folks. I'll let people say 3, 2, 1 on scanning this. I'll show this again in a second. But can we do a little drum roll here? For the world premiere of Shoutout Solana.
Shoutout Solana. Shoutout Solana. Shoutout Solana. Been in since 2020, now go check it out. Look at the roster, build a Ramada. I wanna shake all their hands, get those watch parties ready to pop off. Man, it's a nada. Looking like Tiki Masala, the way they be cooking up all the Solana sauce. If you like keeping up, you can come here about it at the call. A to C breakpoint, gonna get a ticket and I'm gonna make some ape noise.
Okay.
In the purple eagle when we stay full, projects full of hype, yeah, I wait like an anchor.
Okay.
Shock 'em every time like a taser, blowing all the minds, that's some build up behavior.
Okay.
65K TBS, only race with the best, and nobody that we wait for. Oh, halftime pro that we got the best around. W's on W's, dropping W's, it's getting loud. Hold back, reload at the speed of the sound. Whole squad, hold it down. TVO will make you proud. Super team is in the house. I'm making music, you just shout. I'm rocking out with my doubt. You ain't even know how. Did anybody think that we would never have a moment that would make you wow? We got hella builders in the coat and rust, but looking nice and super shiny now.
Drop a little W in the chat if you are into this. Shout out Solana over here. Joy, this is done by Dr. Preballen and Little Unusual. It is going to get on Spotify soon enough. In the meantime, we have just tweeted this out. Let me put this link into the chat as well so people can put this here. If you can, give this a little retweet. Let the rest of the world see and know what it's all about here. Little Unusual, Casual W. Folks, share out this song. It is a banger. We'll get more people to know about all the good stuff that is happening over on Solana. Eli says shit is hard, and that is a fact. I saw Gunny bopping his head along as well, which is great. Big Dub says Solana badness. Really, really interesting and banger work here. It's a banger for me, says Sumptuous. So folks, drop a little retweet, give a little bit of love to this. Appreciate everybody for coming out to the call. It has been a fun one. I know we went a little bit long. Tony from Underdog saying, I know I make an ape noise is a bar. It's a lot of bars, man. Bunch of builders doing code in Rust, but looking super shiny now. Gotta say, I loved that bar as well, and many more. I like seeing these numbers go up, so please do get this out into the world. I'm keen for everyone to listen to this song because I think it is so goddamn good. Everyone that retweets this, you're officially in my heart forever. I appreciate you. And everyone who came out, thank you so much for coming out to the call. It has been a hell of a time. I got a bunch of alpha here from Hero, from Tensor on what they're building, from Parcl in terms of what's coming next, and of course from Backpack and where the seasons are going, along with all the wins. If you're making community, pivot to making videos, says Chris.Sol and Super Team. Big shout out to all of the live watch parties as well. We love and appreciate every single one of you for going out in real life. Hopefully someday I'll be able to go to some of these. Right now I'm mostly stuck behind the Zoom instead. But with that said, show some love on Twitter. Let people know about it. Make sure to come back next time. And folks, you don't have to go home, but you cannot stay here. Thanks everybody for coming out. We'll see you on the next one.